Peter's concerned about his friend, but he's probably getting a bit distracted, and the eyes are coming off Jesus. So Jesus says, do you know what, Pete? If I want John to never die, it still doesn't mean that you should be distracted by what I'm doing in his life. And I was writing down this week, if John didn't die, and Jesus really did keep him alive, which, by the way, I think he did, and I think John is alive today, and I think he's probably helping persecuted churches in the Middle East, but I've got nothing to hang any of that on. But let's just say he does. John is now 2,000 years old and counting. And you know all the events that John would have lived through if Jesus bothered to keep him alive that long? I wrote some down. You know what's happened in the last 2,000 years? It's a long list. Buckle up. The church expanded to Wales just after these events. Probably Joseph of Arimathea brought the gospel to Wales. And you know what? He's probably buried somewhere in Cardiff. That's another Bible story. Then the church goes global across the whole world. Then you've got things like the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. Then you've got the Islamic conquest. Then you've got China embracing Buddhism. Then you've got gunpowder that's invented. Then you've got Charlemagne that's coronated. Then you've got the Crusades. Then you've got the Black Death. Then Columbus arrives in America. Then you've got the Protestant Reformation. Then you've got the Battle of Trafalgar. Then Cardiff win the FA Cup. And then you've got the Manhattan. I've skipped a bit between Trafalgar and the FA Cup. And then you've got the Manhattan Project. And then you've got September 11. And then you've got the Queen dies. And John will have lived through it all. And he'd have a whole queue of media moguls saying, John, what happened in this event? Tell me all about it. And they'd all be distracted. But you know who wouldn't be in the queue? Peter. Peter wouldn't be there. Where would Peter be? Following Jesus and feeding the sheep. And you'd be like, Pete, aren't you going to talk to John? It's been 2,000 years now. And he'd be like, no. Because everything that's going on in that bit of the world is nothing to do with me. All that Jesus wants from me is to follow him. And that's the most beautiful journey I can ever take, because Jesus is so wonderful in my walk. All of the other stuff isn't as gripping to me. He's just that good. That's the big vision of Jesus. Test him for your life and follow him.